And January '04, it had been a year, we did his memorial service. And January 6th, '04, I went to my parents and I said, I really would like to have your blessings to do this learning center. Because my family, we were all self-employed, and I didn't want to affect my decisions to affect my family. Because as you well know, being Jewish has never been popular. Talking about the Inquisition is not going to be popular in a Catholic town. And I grew up there, and my parents had a business, and I had a business, and my brother had a business. So that was the night that changed my life forever. My father said, he not only gave me his blessings, he said, I've known since I was 6 years old that I was a Jew.
Oh.
And my mother and I almost fell out of the chair. I had every range of emotions you can imagine. Because mind you, this is 2004. I've been practicing Judaism, living in the same town since 96, telling them since 99 I think we're Jews. And my father never said anything. So I went from disbelief, shock, anger, confusion, relief, all of these emotions at once. And I said, why did you not tell me? And he shrugged his shoulders, and he said, because I was told to keep a secret and that we were Catholic, and he left the room. And my mother and I looked at each other. I was in total shock. And she said, Mija, I'll find out for you. So a few days later, she calls me and says, I have a story to tell you. Come over and have some coffee. So I went over, and she explained that my father, because he was the youngest of 5, he was 15 days old when his parents got a divorce. So he was raised by his grandmother and a few of his uncles that had not got married yet. A few of those uncles had gone to World War II. One of them came back when my father was 6, and he told my great-grandmother that it was still not safe to be a Jew. He was liberating the camps. And to this day, as children think he was in Morocco, he wasn't. He didn't talk about this to his children. I've asked some of my oldest cousins, some of his sons, and they don't know anything about this. But he was one that told my father that this was very important because it wasn't safe to be a Jew. My father was born in 1938. And what most people don't know is that the Inquisition ended in New Mexico in 1912, when New Mexico became a state of the Union. Most people don't know that the Inquisition office in Mexico City never closed its doors.
Oh.
It has recently changed the name of its office. Most people don't know that the missions throughout Southwest Texas, Mexico, and New Mexico are inquisitor stations.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. So when nothing starts and ends when it says it starts or ends, because you go back to history books back into Spain, and in 1391 there are rabbis that are converting out of duress to Catholicism. The decree to expel the Jews is not until 1492. So we have 100 years of hardship in Spain before the actual expulsion begins. And most people think there was only a Spanish Inquisition. Most people that are a little bit more knowledgeable know there was a Portuguese. But most people don't know that the Inquisition followed us. There was one in Colombia, there was one in Mexico and Brazil, and in New Mexico and the Southwest. Most people don't know that there was pressure, continued pressure. And did it really end, or did it just change its name to the Holocaust? And then we have the Shoah. My father was born in between those periods. All my grandparents were born before 1912. So here I am having intuition, but I have nothing to go by other than names on on history documents of the archives. That's all I really have at the time. And so my first year of running the Learning Center, we didn't really know what we were doing. We were just trying to come back there's a lot of people trying to come back, but they don't know how. And within that year, I'd gone to Israel. I'd made my first trip to Israel from a tour company that heard about me and said, we'd like to put you on a fam tour. Would you like to come? Would you like to take Anusim tours? And I said, absolutely. That's one of my dreams, to take people back to Israel. And when I got back from Israel in the week before Thanksgiving, January the following year, my first year of having opened the Learning Center, I met my rabbi in El Paso, Rabbi Stephen Leon. And he had heard about me and I'd heard about him. He had been working with Anusim for 18 years at the time. And so I called him to see if I could put on a fam tour, a tour presentation at his synagogue in El Paso, which is 2.5 hours south of where I live one way. And it was quite interesting, just asking him that. He said, well, before we talk about that, let me ask you, what do you think about Jesus? And I was totally shocked because, first of all, I wanted to talk about tours, not theology, so my response was, which one, the Jesus Christ of the Constantinople world, the Greek god Zeus that they forced us to worship, or the first century rabbi that nobody can answer my questions about what his name really was? And so I just kind of went down this list. First, this person's name is Emmanuel, then it's Jesus, then it's Yeshua, and now it's Yehoshua. So what is this person's name? Anyway, he said, well, let me call you back. I've got a meeting, so I'll call you back. He called me back, and we talked further. We got to know each other. And I began doing my conversion with him. Within a month of that time, we got to know each other. We both felt safe with each other. And interestingly enough, I met Bennett Greenspan from Family Tree DNA headquarters in Houston, and I met Dr. Stanley Hordes, all about the same time, within a few weeks of each other. And Dr. Hordes helped me do the research on my name, Loya. And Loya was a province apparently in Navarra, Spain during the medieval times. It was a prominent Levitical community along with an artist community. And then I got the DNA research from my dad, the DNA results from my dad, which was the same day, which was quite interesting because my dad had a lot of Levitical hits on his DNA. And our last name, if you spell it in Hebrew, is Levi, Halevi.
Halevi.
So anyway, that kind of started giving me more solid facts to the intuition. And I completed my conversion